It's King. I wanted to make a video today about layers. I've already made a video about layers, but I feel like looking back at it, I could do a better job sort of explaining some of the, I don't know, things I didn't really think to explain in the past, and sort of do like a better job of describing how to go about setting up your layers and saving them so that you don't like have to do this every time you attack, because obviously that sucks. So sorry, you're going to watch me joining rallies while we're talking here because I don't want to miss any rallies. Cool. So going to our March presets, we've already talked about the importance of layers. Basically, the idea is, if like I'm attacking someone, I'm not going to just go over here and attack them with all my ranged troops like this. I think that makes sense, right? You want to send as much of your best troops as you can. That seems intuitive. The problem is that that's just not how the game works. There's some weird targeting mechanics in terms of like who targets what. And the idea here is if you add in extra layers, right? If you go way down to the bottom and I send some small amount of like T1s and T2s and basically all my troops, just a little bit of every single one of my troops, it's going to mess up their targeting. It's going to force their stronger troops to spend time targeting my weaker troops, and that gives my my stronger troops more time to attack their troops. So what are we going to do? We're going to start from the very bottom in our create presets, and we're going to add 1,000 of every troop. And this sucks to watch. And I'll be honest, it kind of sucks to do as well. I wish that Ebony, if you're listening, I wish you would allow us to like create templates, right? Where it's just start me out with 1,000 of everything and let me just kind of work around the details. That would be awesome. But at the moment, it doesn't exist. So we're still just adding 1,000 of everything. And we're going to keep doing this until we get to, for now, my best troop is T13. So until I get to T10s, I'm just going to put in 1,000 of everything. 1,000 ground, 1,000 siege, 1,000 ranged, 1,000 mounted. 1,000 of everything. Again, this is just giving more stuff here that's going to waste their time attacking my stuff. You might, as I do this, you might see why I thought that this was not necessary to do in the past, but I think just like the process of seeing this get set up is going to be helpful to people. So we're almost there. We're up to T9s, T10s. Cool. And so now I'm at T11s, and I'm actually just going to keep adding 1,000 everything, except for range. I'm just going to leave those ones be for a second. So 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. We're skipping the range, 1,000. And then I only have T14 calves. I'm just going to put 1,000 of those. So now I've taken 49,000, about 50,000 of my total space in the march. This is actually a pretty small percentage, right? I'm not taking up that much room with these extra troops. So like, it's not like they're taking that much away from the overall power. They are just, they're just messing up the enemy's targeting. And the way we fill in the rest of our troops, so notice I still don't have any of my top 3 ranged troops. So, this works differently from troop type to troop type, but for range, the way I like to do this is I take my remaining space. So I have, let's see, 50,000, take that away from the total amount. That's going to give me, I'm just going to say 1.5 million, make my life easy. I'm going to put half of that of T12s in. So half of 1.5 million is 750,000. Cool. So I've now filled that up. So now I have, let's see, what would that be? That would be approximately, I think that's also about 750,000, which makes sense. That was half of what I had left. And I'm going to take that number, 750,000. I'm going to put about 60 to 70% of that into my T13. So 750,000, 50% of that. Can I do math in my head? 50% of that would be 375. And I'm going to go a little higher than that. So I'm going to say 500,000. If I had a calculator, I'd be able to do a better job with this. And lastly, we're going to go just fill in the rest of the space with my T11s. And if you look here, I don't quite have enough T11s. I'll probably train more soon at some point, but what I'm just going to do is I'm going to add more T12s. T12s are magic. If you're not sure, especially with range troops, what to do, add T12s. And I'm going to save that. I'm going to save the preset. And I meant to mention this earlier. We'll actually go up to the top here. Why am I only putting the range troops in the top here? Well, because this is a range march. I can look at my generals. That's a range general. He increases attack of range troops. All of his specs over here increases something about range troops. Same thing with my assistant. Range troops, siege, because I just didn't have anything better. Range troops. Cool. So that's my range march. We basically said 1,000 of everything, all the way up. And then once you do that, look at your top 3 range marches. Take half your remaining space and fill that with your second highest tier. Fill up about 60 to 70% of your leftover space with your highest tier, and then fill up the rest with your third lowest tier. And 1 second, we're just gonna go check rallies here. Ooh, I'm glad I didn't miss that. And wow, one more. Okay. Glad I checked. Cool. So going back, we're going to do a really similar thing for our other marches. If I was going to look at my ground march, actually, let me go add my subcities back into this so that I don't forget to do that later. Okay, so if I go look at my ground march, I have ground generals, increasing ground troops attack, increasing ground troops attack and defense and HP. So my ground march is imperfect. We can talk about why, but I set this up when I had a march buff on, which makes sense. Here, I can just use a march buff. Help me make my point a little bit better here. Okay, so we'll go look at my ground march, and actually if I go look now, just messed up. Annoying. Okay, let's pretend that these were all fills. I just don't want to fill it in front of you, and it takes a while. So 1,000 of everything, starting from T1 all the way back up to the top, just like we did before. And I'm going to take my remaining space. So I have, here, let me get rid of these. I'm going to say I have about 50,000, because I actually have the same amount of troops I had for the range. And I'm going to subtract 50,000 from that. That's about 750,000. And usually what you want to do is you want to have half of that, maybe even a little more than half of that, be your top tier ground troops. When you're talking about ground troops and mounted troops, you want to have a lot more of your top tier troop, and then about similar ratios to range, but you switch them around a bit, right? So about half of your top tier troop, and then from there, you take about 60% of what you have left of your next tier troop, and then you fill in the rest with your last tier troop. So like I have, let's see, 1,650, half of that would be 825,000. I don't have enough T13. So I'm just going to fill that completely in. I'll train more eventually. And then what do I have left here? So now I have, let's see, I have 1 million left. I said I want to fill in about 60% of that. So 600,000 tier 12s. Do I have that? I don't. You can see my problem with my ground march right here. And I would fill in the rest with my T11s. Again, you can see I don't quite have the right numbers for my ground troops. Use your imagination. I'll just save that. Sure, I'll have to go back and fix the bottom layers eventually. And very similar for mounted. I have a mounted general. My skill books are bad. We're going to ignore those. And you want to set this up actually similar to your ground march. So looking at mine, it's bad. So let's redo it. You can see going down to the bottom, 1,000 of everything, every tier, every troop. And I'm just going to undo all of these. So I want to fill up about half of what I have left. So we said that I have 1,700. Half of that's going to be about 850,000 of my highest tier troop. And then let's see, I've got 800,000. So 60% of that is going to be about 500,000. And then that would leave me 300,000 T12s. That's my mounted march. Right, but every one of these has the same thing in common. 1,000 of everything going all the way down. And going to the top, you're making up the rest of your march with your top 3 troops. And how you distribute those changes depending on which troops you're talking about. Mounted and ground are similar. Range, you tend to want to have a bit more of your second tier of troops. I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments if there's any questions, and thanks for watching.